So let's go back to what Mr. Sakurai was talking about. So last week, Mr. Sakurai collected his award and gave an interview to Japanese entertainment news website NTAX, in which he said that he felt that Japanese studios should focus on domestic audiences. Like, rather than trying to make a game that may appeal to the West, he states that it's not necessarily my own idea, but the trend in the game industry is that Japanese people should go for what Japanese people like. Sakurai explained, a while ago there was certainly a culture of making Americanized products because various works were popular in the US. However, I feel that Japanese game lovers overseas are not looking for such things, but for something unique and interesting from Japan. In other words, I think that the ideal is to make the games the way you like them, and the people who can accept them will enjoy them. And listen, Mr. Sakurai, if not, he is one of the greatest gaming developers in existence. So when he speaks, people will listen to what he has to say, and to me personally, from what he quoted, I would have to say I had to agree to a certain extent. I feel like a lot of Japanese developers have lost its edge as far as using its own creativity when it comes to creating a game in this generation, due to the fact that most Japanese developers now are no longer thinking about its own domestic market. It is now thinking about its global market because that's where most of the sales are coming from. It's no longer about appealing to the Japanese audiences anymore. Before even further, I want to verify, even though there are successful Japanese developed games with heavy Western influence, hence like Silent Hills, Resident Evils, the Souls franchise, and many more, I feel like when Sakurai brings this up, or even my own opinion, what I would have to say is that more or less it's for like alternative Japanese titles like certain JRPGs, or titles that are anime influenced, or games that are taking place in a Japanese setting, hence like Yakuza franchise, which even though it transitioned its setting into Hawaii, I would still say it focuses its setting in Japan. But when it comes to developing a game, you will want that game to be successful, right? I mean, come on. In this age, developing a game costs so much money, and you will want that game to sell well. And in order to make up for its development costs, you would need that game to sell well. So this is why I feel like in this age of the gaming industry, it's kind of risky in making choices on what games to develop. When it comes to this generation of Japanese gaming, you definitely don't see as much originality when it comes to its games compared to previous generations where Japanese developers have more freedom, more creativity without thinking of the mindset of will this game be successful overseas or will this game be appropriate for the Western audiences. Before, I feel like some Japanese games used to really have this unique kind of originality to where we're talking about specific types of humor that Japanese audiences will mostly understand, like its goofiness, crazy humor, or even some of the gameplay styles that certain developers will go for. A perfect example would be like Suda51. Let's look at some of his crazy titles like No More Heroes, for instance. You play as Travis Touchdown. The protagonist, Travis Touchdown, is a wrestling-loving, anime-obsessed otaku, but instead of being a stereotypical shut-in, he's a violent, foul-mouthed assassin. The game even has very silly elements to it, like its UI system and the save system, which is done by sitting on a toilet. The combat is exaggerated with its crazy amounts of blood and finishing moves. You could say the same with other Suda51 titles, as he likes to add his own unique style of humor and pop culture influence in ways that feel distinctive to the Japanese audiences, but can also universally be influenced. These are the type of things that you wouldn't really see in a game developed by a Western developer. Like, there were really games out there that when you played them, you really thought to yourself, like, this had to be developed by a Japanese studio. I feel like another big thing about Japanese developed games is its catering to censorship. While I do feel like Japan has its own fair share of its censorship policies, I do feel like we used to see a lot of Japanese games that focus on its fan service. You don't really see that much Japanese titles that caters to fan service anymore. I mean, you don't really see as much as the Samurai Kaguras, the Anchanibaras. You don't really see that much in the market anymore. These games are not really out there in the market anymore. You just don't see these type of games anymore. I mean, you even seeing games like Dead or Alive that was trying to kill the fan service, and you saw how that went. While there is still a fair share of Japanese games that have its own fan service, like Nier Automata, it really isn't as much as it used to be. I feel like other Asian markets overseas have taken over the whole fan service gimmick from Japan, like Korea with the First Descendant and Stellar Blade, and China with its gacha titles. They kind of have an idea that fan service can really sell a game. I mean, even through my visit in Japan, when I went to Japan, you don't really see that much exclusive Japanese titles anymore that you would see only in Japan. Games that you can only buy in Japan that wouldn't be available in any other country besides Japan. Like, things have really changed throughout this generation, and I really hope that Japanese developers can somehow come back to their senses and create games that cater to their own originality. Kind of like how Sakurai described that Japanese developers should make games with the intentions of making games for their own audiences. I feel like this will make Japanese developers return to its own creativity if they focus on doing what's best for their own audiences. Now, let me know if you guys agree with what Mr. Sakurai is saying, or if you guys disagree in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about my thoughts about the whole situation. And please, as always, support me by sharing this video, liking this video, and subscribing to my channel. I would highly appreciate it. My name is Sam Maddock, and I'll see y'all in the next video.